Today's Christmas spot, we're going to be looking at the Diamond Select Toys Nightmare Before Christmas. This is Locke, Shock, and Barrel. This terrible trio is one figure set I was really looking forward to from the Nightmare Before Christmas line. Let's get some figure dimensions going. Locke is at 4.5 inches. Shock, if you count the top of her witch hat, she's about closer to, say, 7.25 of an inch tall. And Little Barrel is about 4 inches in height. They come with a ton of different accessories, all of which we'll look at in a second. Unfortunately, they don't come with any pieces to Halloween Town. So your continued quest, well, will continue as you try to build the rest of Halloween Town through the later released figure line for Nightmare Before Christmas. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's have a look at Locke, Shock, and Barrel, which is a little 411. I'm sure you guys already know this. But Locke, Shock, and Barrel were played by or voiced by some very notable actors. Locke, for example, was voiced by Paul Reubens, who you probably know as Pee Wee Herman. Catherine O'Hara from SCTV. And of course, she was also in the Home Alone movies, did Shock. And Danny Elfman, the gentleman that does all the scores for Tim Burton's movies, did the voice of Barrel. So some interesting little 411s. Let's have a look at each of the individual figures. Actually, no, we won't. Let's look at the bathtub that comes included with Locke, Shock, and Barrel first. Then we'll look at the figures. Really nice looking bathtub. I was trying to actually go back and look at the source material to see if the paint, the way that the bathtub is painted, is accurate to the movie. And it's kind of hard to tell, but you can see that there's some very obvious like little brush marks that have been done around the perimeter of the bathtub, as opposed to it being a very pristine. The underside is a more dirtier looking basin, dirty bottom area of the bathtub, which I guess is fairly accurate to the movie itself. The inside, you've got the drain as well as your hot and cold and the nozzle at the top there. It's a good substantially sized piece that you can display all the figures inside of. Before we do that, let's just show you the legs themselves. The legs have posability. Only a forward and back motion on them. Don't mistake these little rivet points as articulation, as you'll end up having broken legs on your bathtub. And then you've got the little connector pipe on the back, painted very nicely in silver. It's a really neat looking bathtub, really nice looking design. I think they handled releasing the bathtub quite well. And of course it would have to come with Locke, Shock, and Barrel. Let's move these all over. And just to show you guys, you can take the three figures, kind of have to move around Shock here. But you can fit all three figures actually in the bathtub, which is probably going to be how I'm going to end up displaying the particular figures. So I do really like that. So let's go ahead and take these guys out. Oh, sorry. These two guys and girl out. We'll put the bathtub right over there. And as mentioned at the beginning of this review, they have a lot of accessories. The more, not boring end of it, but the more practical end of it, they come with 3 clear display stands. Which, looking at it for a second, I thought they were same stands as what we got with Mini-Mates, but then it occurred to me that the Mini-Mates tend to have broader, I think they have broader pegs, so they're not quite a Mini-Mate stand. The figures do, I would say, necessarily need the stands. Locke stands perfectly fine. Barrel stands perfectly fine. But I find that Shock, I can get her off the display stand, she's very top heavy, as you could probably guess by her hat. It's only by sheer luck and not knocking her over that she does stand. Display stands using these, I definitely would say, is still crucial, because you never know when one might topple over. Put those to the side. And you know what? We'll go through each one of them, and then we'll look at the accessories that come with each of the corresponding characters. So here we have Locke, dressed here as the devil. The hair is a kind of a dark, I want to say like a dark cranberry color, while the outfit is more lighter shade of red. The face sculpt is pretty good, but again, like I don't know how you would display your figures, but I would probably display these figures with their corresponding masks. But before we do that, I wanted to look at the faces themselves. My favorite has always been Barrel. I don't know. Let me know which is your favorite of Locke, Shock, and Barrel. So here we have, again, Locke. Face sculpt, really nice. You got the bright blue outlining on the lips and the jagged teeth. Very sleepy looking, bagged-eyed on Locke here. I like the hair. Now, one problem I have is these masks. And so here we have, for example, the devil mask that Locke wears. And that's the back there. They're kind of just attached by friction. Just forcing it on there. Forcing it on to the figure's face is how they keep the mask on. They've got these little lips on the top that is supposed to go underneath or over top of the head. In the case of Locke here, it's a tricky feat because the little tabs have to fit underneath the curled areas of the hair. But let me just show you here. The hair is really close to the actual head itself. It doesn't give you much in the way of clearance. So, and then you've got this broader tab. It's really difficult to fit the mask underneath that. So a lot of times what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the mouth to line up with the face, and I'm trying to get the tabs underneath the hair. What ultimately ends up happening for poor Locke is you can't see his eyes. You can try to get, if you line the eyes up like this, for example, then you'll see that the tabs, let me show you here, the tabs don't fit. They don't fit, like you can probably fit it over top of the head, but that doesn't seem right. It seems like the face to line perfectly to about, let's say there. See where it actually tabs, see where it fits and it butts up against the hair. The hair almost should have been a little higher, just enough to kind of get the clearance on it, because if not, you're trying to fit it underneath the hair and it just doesn't work. He ends up not being able to see his eyes, which is a real shame. I'm wondering if the tabs were simply removed altogether, taking these completely off. See how it see how there's a recessed area for the nose, the eyebrows, and the mouth. I'm wondering if that's enough that I could, if I took the tabs completely off, which would involve some surgical work, I wonder if I could actually fit the face. Let's see if I can actually put the mask on and kind of push it up. Okay, you can see the face a little bit better, but it's still got this awkward gap. Not really crazy about those tabs. Like, it really seems like you have to put a lot of pressure to get them to fit on here. There we go. Whoosh. Okay, got the mask on, but I would worry that those pegs would break trying to force the mask on, and I probably wouldn't do it very often of putting the mask on, taking it off, putting it on, taking it off, because something eventually will give. Mask at least is on, so that's good. Because I would probably want to display the figures more so with the masks than without. Anyways, let's look at Locke's articulation, which is on a ball joint. So he's got the ball joint in the head. It doesn't seem to have universal joints on the arms. If it does, I can't seem to move the arms outward, but they do rotate. He also has the rotation in the hands, and he also has the rotation in the feet. It looks as if he can be articulated at the top there, but just by the way that the top covers over the legs, you really can't move the legs forward anyways. See, like there's articulation there, but you really can't do too much with them. Let's go ahead and grab a display stand, as they are all the same. Plug his feet into place, and there is Locke. Next, let's move on in sequence down to Shock here. Shock also comes with a display stand. She is dressed as a witch. Really like the face sculpt on this particular one. I love the little strands of hair also. These feel like they're a more denser plastic, but dense plastic tends to also mean that that's plastic that could potentially break, so be very careful there. Has her witch's hat, but the hat is not removable. The hat almost feels as heavy, if not heavier, than the face itself, but the face is really nicely done. Little scribbles of the blue that's also outlining her eyes. Also outlining the lips, and you've got the jagged teeth there as well. Sculpt on this skirt or dress. I suppose it's more closer to a dress. Looks quite nice. Again, she's a little more difficult to stand. Sometimes you're a little luckier than others. Some days are better than others, as you two would say. Peg holes on the undersides of her feet, so at least you can use the display stand. But again, like really nice face sculpt. Like the colors, very accurate to how they appeared in the movie. She comes also with this mask, which has the same problem with the tabs. But you can see, again, the recessed areas of the eyes, the mouth, and the nose. So getting this on poor Shock here, this one is a little trickier because you have to get it underneath the hair there. And then just kind of, as you're getting it on there, push it up. And it does stay in place, but it involves pushing it on and then kind of raising the mask up as high as you can. It seals almost all of it except for the mouth. The mouth doesn't quite sit against the mask, so you might find yourself finding a little bit of a gap. But unlike, for example, Locke, at least you could get the eyes visible right away. That didn't involve me having to, to really force the mask on to get it on there. Go ahead and have a look at her posability. Her head seems to be not on a ball joint. Maybe there is a ball joint. Let's see if I can actually... it looks like it could be potentially a ball joint. And then she's got a swivel on the arms, the hands. The legs look like they can hinge forward, but again, really, what are you going to do with that? And she has a rotation in the feet. Let's go ahead and get her on her display stand. Forcing it on there. I find one for Shock here, I find her one foot pegs better than the other. I'm sure there's no difference in size over one to the other, but that's what I've noticed. And then lastly, my personal favorite is Beryl. I love the design of this guy. I even carved a pumpkin one year to look like Beryl here. I don't think it was all that successful, but I think he really does look quite cool. He always reminded me of a sandworm from Beetlejuice. Very creepy looking eyes, big giant grin, and the greenish skin. He's got a skeletal outfit going on here with the bones, and these are sculpted, so they're raised above just the texturing of the outfit. Gives you a sense of depth to it. He has one foot in front of the other. Oh, I just wanted to break out in a song, for example. Put one foot in front of the other. And then he has peg holes on the undersides of his feet. Now, his mask doesn't have the tabs. It is solely relying on forcing the face into the recessed areas of the mouth and the nose. I kind of like the face. This is one instance where I kind of like the face without the mask, but to have the other two characters with masks, of course, I want to incline to do the exact same. You probably heard a little bit of snap. And that's now, it's going nowhere whatsoever. Unfortunately, a little bit of a scuff on the front of the mask. Looks like a little bit of a scratch or paint or something. But the mask is definitely not coming off. It's going to take a little bit of extra prying, as you can see, to kind of get everything off. I noticed all these little spots, little holes on the insides of the face. I don't think they serve any sort of purpose, just other than the way that they were molded when the mold was cast. And again, just kind of force that on. It's going nowhere. They also do come with a lollipop, but none of them, it's consistent that none of these figures come with grippable hands. Santa didn't come with one. Pumpkin King didn't come with one. Locke, Shock, and Beryl, neither of them come with grippable hands. So there's really no way to have them holding the lollipop unless you tried to wedge it in between the thumb and the finger. But good luck, that ain't going to happen anytime soon. So unfortunately, you've just got this loose, spiral, cool-looking lollipop that you can't have any of them actually holding. That's a shame. Beryl's articulation, his head is on also the ball joint. I keep wanting to think these are universal joints, but the arms do seem really on the tight side, so I'm not going to force them out. Swivel on the hands, hinges on the feet, or on the legs, and then you've also got swivels on the feet. And then lastly, you can go ahead and just plug him into place. Into, yes, his display stand. And there's the 3 figures from this release. When Diamond Select first acquired the rights for Nightmare Before Christmas, the characters I was really most excited for, of course, above and beyond the Sallys and the Jack Skellingtons, was the Mayor and Locke, Shock, and Barrel here. We already got a Mayor, and the Mayor turned out quite good. All we were needing, at least from my personal wish list, was a Locke, Shock, and Barrel. And I think overall the figures turned out really good. Incorporating the bathtub is the nice touch, as well as the fact that there's the articulation in the legs. But as regards to the individual figures, I think all of them turned out really good. The only downside that I have is that at times the masks are a little trickier to get actually onto the faces. Barrel's is the easiest because he really doesn't have those tabs to worry about. The worst is, I would say, Locke. Just trying to get the tabs underneath the hair can be a little bit more difficult. Paint is nicely done, sculpt is nicely done, and just shy of a few little imperfections that I have on these particular figures. Otherwise, I think these figures are pretty perfect and a great display accompanying piece to the other Nightmare Before Christmas figures that you may already have picked up. Found these at my local comic book store, so of course if you guys are interested in picking these up for yourself, you can find them there. Today's Christmas spots, we were having a look at the Diamond Select Nightmare Before Christmas Locke, Shock, and Barrel. If you guys like this video, certainly hit it with a like down below. Of course, more Christmas videos, Christmas-related videos, will be coming your way in the next couple of days, leading up to the end of the month. Not so much fans of Christmas-related videos, don't worry. Still going to do some superhero and horror-related reviews, so I'm going to try my best to kind of match and do as equal amounts of those as I'm going to be doing for Christmas videos, because I know there's some people out there that really don't like the Christmas videos. It's okay. I'm going to try to do a little bit of both, the best of both worlds, so to speak. If, on your part, you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe to this channel, make sure you hit that little subscribe button. It's just below this video. More videos will be coming your way. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.